Welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're on season 5, Andy. This is episode 4, a sports edition, Andy.
Sports.
Now,
Here we
today
go.
is November 27th, 2023, and we just wrapped up Thanksgiving. We're at the time of the year here, end of November, where football's wrapping up and high school football's wrapping up. College football is in its tournament. It's fun. Now, last week we had a full football episode.
Yes.
This week it's got to be
Mostly football.
It's got to be 90-95% again.
Yes. It's that time of year.
There's other things going on, but boy, we've got our pockets full with football stuff, and I'm talking college and high school. So let's start off with the trivia question before we
fire away.
kick off. This coming weekend in NCAA Division I is Conference Championship Football. 10 conferences in the nation all have their championship game held on either Friday. There's a couple games Friday night. All the rest are Saturday. But the trivia question of those 10 games, Andy, is how many of those 10 games are held at neutral sites? How many of the 10 are at neutral sites? For instance, the Big Ten is at the Indianapolis. What's the stadium?
I want to say Hoosier Dome. I know that's wrong.
The Oil Stadium.
Yes, Lucas Oil.
Lucas Oil is always has the contract to host the Big Ten title game. So that's Iowa. For now. I think they go in 5.
US Bank made a bid for it, didn't they?
Okay. They do it in 3 or 5 year increments, I think. Yeah. And so it's been at the Lucas Oil for a while. So it's going to be Michigan Wolverines against Iowa Hawkeyes. Now, it's not the 2 best teams in the conference, but it's the winner of the East versus the winner of the West.
Right.
And so the other conferences have similar things. They're either the best 2 teams, or if there's 2 divisions, the best of each.
Yep.
But it's a single game. Some conferences have done this for years. Some have just gradually gotten to doing this, like the Big Ten over the years. But how many are at neutral sites, and how many are at actually a home field advantage? That'll be the question we'll answer at the end of the show.
All right.
Now, let's get it to your information here, Andy.
To my stuff.
This is where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah. High school. We'll start high school and work our way up the ladder here.
Okay.
6A champs, Centennial over Edina. Last second. And not an Edina fan, but I love the game. And at the end of the game, Edina went for 2 to win. That's what you do. You don't make the playoffs to tie.
Yeah, they had the chance to go for the 1 point extra point to send it to overtime, but I like some of these coaches at this level to say no. We're gonna go. We're either gonna win it or lose it on this play.
Yep. So I respect that.
Excellent game.
Another excellent game. Chan over St. Thomas Academy. Same basic thing. It was an overtime game. Chan got the field goal. St. Thomas Academy, it was like 4th and 2 at the 2, and they went for the touchdown, not a field goal to tie. So respect to them on that one. And Chanhassen is your 5A champ.
Yeah, really good game there.
Hutch 14-6 over Corey. Nice close game there. So congrats to Hutch. Hutch Tigers. Stewartville over Annandale. He's a 3A champ. Eden Valley Watkins over Barnesville. And you know what? Okay, the score says 24-6. It was closer than that because Eden Valley kind of blew it open in the end of the 4th there.
Okay.
So that was closer than the score says, but good fight by both teams. Eden Valley Watkins had some boys with nice flow, nice hair.
Perfect.
I will say that to them. Shocking, Minnesota won. The shocking part was only by 21.
Very good. That's a very good team right there. We know Springfield is tough.
Yeah.
But they made it look very easy over a tough Tigers team there from Springfield. But Minnesota, hats off.
And Nevis over Kingsland, 14-12 for your 9-man champs. Now, nothing against these other schools. It's just size. I know size doesn't matter, but this is what we're going with here. The Beavs lost at home in the playoffs at the Chet. So they're out. Central Washington moves on.
And Central Washington wasn't ranked. I mean, not seeded, I should say.
Right. They were like Bemidji. They both had won upsets in the first round.
Yes.
Now Central Washington wins on the road at the Chet. First home playoff game for the Beavs. The Beavs, blew their wad in the first quarter there, and then they were done. I don't know if they were spent. They played all their aces, what happened, but they couldn't do nothing after that first quarter. The Bison, on the other hand, took care of business. They took Drake and beat him like a stepchild.
Yeah, yep.
And they move on next week. They go to Montana State. Montana State is ranked higher than them, but it is the Bison. It is the playoffs. This is why you play the games, not on paper. You play them. So this
will be one heck of a game, I think.
Yep. If you go back to 2010, the Bison played there and won, and that's kind of started a lot of the roll for the Bison playoffs. So maybe we could start another roll. We'll see. Yeah, and the Gophers lost. Shocking. And here's the sad part. Okay, I'll get into it later. Gophers lost. Terrible team, terrible program, terrible uniforms.
Will this be a soapbox, maybe?
Possibly. Stay tuned.
Okay.
Some more sports notes. It's happening again. Another boy wants to be a girl on a swim team. If we did not learn from Mr. Thomas, who now lately, U.S. Collegiate Athletics Hall of Fame refuses to recognize Mr. Thomas's wins, titles, and records. Now. And also, Mr. Thomas requested the 2024 Olympic participation was instantly rejected by the committee. So he will not be in the Olympics. Thanks be to God.
Great. Good news.
Following the topic of people who like to be in the spotlight, a little pro wrestling talk, CM Punk showed up at WWE's Survivor Series, coming back.
Oh, that was trending the other day on Twitter. I saw that.
Yes. Matt Riddle, who just left the company because he was kind of his character was a 420 type of person, would say.
Okay.
He kind of had 420 bro on his shirt, so it was kind of he was a bro dude. And Matt Riddle's a former MMA fighter, so he's a good guy. I liked his character. He was a little over the top. I liked him. Anyway, he's gone because he was a head case, and now he's like, really? I was hard to deal with, and they bring CM Punk back. CM Punk went to AEW less than a year. He was out with 2 injuries, but he couldn't play nice with everybody there. But everybody still thinks the sun rises and sets on his ass, and so does he. The arena was cleared out for CM Punk to walk through the backstage. They said, oh, no one in creative or staff knew he was going to be there. B as in B, S as in S. It was the worst kept secret over the last week. And no one knew he was coming. Oh, no one knew he was coming. Well, then they let it slip that they told the guys in the last match that he was going to come out. Seth Rollins has no love for this guy. Like he said here in the quote, I'm not going to waste any of my breath on someone who's been gone for 8 years, done nothing but try to tear this place down. In the 8 years he was gone, he did nothing but bad mouth WWE and everything else. So now he's back, like, you know, the chosen son has come home or something like that. So we'll see. We shall see. Also, recording that Drew McIntyre stormed off because he was in the ring when that last match happened, and then Punk came out. Philip Brooks came out. Reports claim that Drew McIntyre, the Scottish Warrior, stormed out of the ring, marched into the back room, slammed his locker room door, took his toys and went home, basically. He's not happy he's there. Seth Rollins, like I said, isn't happy he's there. So two of your main event guys are already ticked off. Now, is this a work? Is that for future matches? Or are they really upset this guy's here? Well, first of all, he was coming. You could have voiced the bosses, and if he's still there, Drew McIntyre can lip off a little bit. His contract's up in April. So he just ride out these next 4 months and do whatever, and he's gone. And he'll make bank elsewhere. Seth Rollins, I think, has been there long enough. He should have some pull to have something to say. Seth Rollins has a championship now. unless he gets a huge payday, he will not drop it to CM Punk unless they give him some big cash on the side. So we will see there. More sports news, preferably baseball stuff. Sad news for some Twins fans. But coming up, the Arizona Diamondbacks are offering a ballpark season pass for all home games for this next year for $299. Their team made the World Series, and they're giving you season tickets for $299. Dan, I'm half tempted to buy some just to have.
Yes.
A deal like that, why not?
Fly down there for a weekend, take in some games, and just say you have them.
Yep, and give the rest away, sell them online, but just to say you bought that. Remember that year the Diamondbacks had season tickets for $299 after going to the World Series?
Wow.
Does Connie have that money in petty cash for that?
Maybe she does.
We'll have to check on that. I know she spent some stuff for that cigarette machine in the break room. So
the cigarette machine, yes, the vending machine, the pull knobs.
Major League Baseball wants to propose trimming the pitch clock when runners are on base. Now, this I think is a silly idea because there was reports the last couple weeks, especially from some pitchers and trainers, said the pitch clock led to a lot of injuries this year for pitchers. Well, now you want to speed it up when there's a guy on base? You're going to see some union heads arguing in this one.
Yeah. So the nice thing for the listeners out there is they tried it for the first year. Having a pitch clock altogether.
Yeah.
And the takeaway from this is that obviously no one's complaining about that. They like the pitch clock, so it sounds like that is good to go. Now, when there's runners on base, they beefed it up a little to give extra time to make a couple throws over there and whatnot. So that's what they are proposing to possibly change, is trim that part of it back, which is, I guess I didn't know there was an issue with that. But
it's the fans who liked it, not the pitchers per se.
Okay, but it sounds like the pitch clock altogether, the normal pitch clock, no one's got a beef with that. So that looked like in very first year of trying that out and testing that out is that they're going to leave that alone. It sounds like keep it there, keep it at the same time. They don't need to increase it or decrease it. It's just good. So that's a good sign. So it's just with runners on bases that there might be some tweaking here. Okay.
Yep. But I know guys like Max Scherzer and others did say that the pitch clock led to a few injuries this year too, though. So
now they're proposing from 20 seconds to 18. So it's, I guess, fair enough to say, look, let's just propose trimming it down by 2 seconds. And now they may come back and say, okay, we'll negotiate. And how about we agree on 19 seconds? Well, will that change in one single second? So we'll see. A lot of hot stove will be brought up, I'm sure, here this winter.
Speaking of baseball rules, remember the old shift they used to have on? Now you can't do the shift anymore.
Yes.
1959, they had a shift for Ted Williams. Look at that. Third, short, second, and first, center field and right field all on the one side of the bag. The left fielder basically played a deep shortstop. Ted Williams still crushed the ball. Still hit 300.
That is very interesting. Yes.
I mean, look where the second baseman is in the shortstop. The shortstop's at second. The third base is where a regular shift would be. And second base was basically playing a deep first. Right field was kind of playing a deep right. The center fielder is kind of a rover almost. The left fielder's over there having a hot dog and popcorn or something.
Very interesting.
Now let's go back to when times were a simpler time.
Yes.
And you look at a simpler time and these things can turn back around and go, what we used to do 40 years ago might be popular again today if you move the team. The Oakland A's used to have hot pants night. The first event in history of baseball, ladies that came in hot pants got in free. But now, we can't do that anymore, but let's move them to Las Vegas. I'm just saying. You're in Vegas. Hot pants night, come back.
Maybe just bring back the hot pants. Now, you'd have to define that, but they had two orcas. Yes. What is this?
Fashion show and a fashion show. Also. Yes.
So this was not a Bill Veeck thing here? Bill Veeck?
And a little bit for everybody.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Oh, I didn't know this even existed. That's pretty
I think some of the town ball teams need to get on this. Between Disco Demolition Night and Hot Pants Night.
And the DRS could really jump on this.
Yeah. You know,
I like it.
Christmas in July, my ass. Let's have hot pants night.
Hot pants day
Yes.
on, an afternoon game there, maybe St. Bonnie on a Sunday afternoon.
That's right.
Pearl River in New Germany, little hot pants day.
Yes. Got a new definition to the missile down there. Oh, you threw that salad up there. I had to hit that. Sorry.
Yes.
All right. Now, 80s stat of the week. Now, this didn't happen all in the 80s, but it was part of the 80s. If you take away Nolan Ryan's major league record, 215 games where he had at least 10 strikeouts, he still struck out 3,167 guys in his career.
So you take away those games and you pull those out. Look at the numbers.
So 3,167. Like granted, here's everybody with Nolan Ryan at first. So he would be between Fergie Jenkins and Pedro there at 15th.
Okay.
He took away all the games where he had 10 or more strikeouts. He still had more than Pedro had in his career, and Bob Gibson. And look at the careers those two had.
Wow.
That's how long, that just puts in perspective how long Nolan Ryan's career was.
Well, he faced a lot of father-son combinations over the years.
Yes. Now let's tell how many guys on this list Nolan Ryan struck out. Probably most of them. Some Twins news. Get your tissues ready. Get your Kleenex ready. Kenta Maeda signed with the Tigers today.
Yes, I saw that.
And also, Sonny Gray signed with the Cardinals. That just means, what's his name? The left there, Dallas. He'll be sticking around for sure now.
Dallas Keuchel. Well, Dallas Keuchel's now a free agent.
Right. Maybe we resign. But everybody's going, why'd you get Sonny Gray go? It's money. When you're paying Buxton $100 million for DHing a third of the year, you don't have money to sign Sonny Gray. Correa, his money.
They had the largest salary in the history of Minnesota Twins last year, the largest ever. And now Sonny, that he went for what, $75 million deal. That's $25 million a season.
Yep.
And the Twins made the tender offer, I think, of $10 million for this year. And so he said, politely said,
in the face.
He's politely said no, but the Twins had to make an offer. So they have to make an offer if they want to get that compensatory draft pick. And now that he signed for because it was more than $50 million deal, the Twins will get an end of the first round draft, an extra pick at the end of the first round. Now the Twins will pick 23rd in the 2024 draft, 23rd, and I think probably, maybe 35th again. So 2 good picks, one thanks to Mr. Sonny Gray. Now, the Cardinals, Andy, I don't know if you heard this, and maybe it's coming up, but they've got 3 former Twins on their roster now.
Yeah, I don't have that coming up. I read that. Gibson.
They've got Lance Lynn, who spent a season with the Twins, Sonny Gray, who spent a couple seasons here.
Yeah.
And then the other player is Mr. Kyle Gibson. Those 3 will be in their 5-man rotation, former Twins, leftover Twin scraps.
Yeah.
The Cardinals have picked up.
And, they got to change that rule a bit. They insult Sonny Gray with $10 million. Okay, $10 million is a lot of money, but compared to the going rate, you already got $10 million, and he signs for over twice that. You should not get a pick because you threw a Band-Aid on a broken leg, and you're getting rewarded for it. That's wrong.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You should. It was not a competitive. They did it for business reasons. It was not a competitive pick, but. That's what they did. You have to make an offer. I didn't think they were even going to make him an offer, but after reading that you do get a pick out of the deal, if you do and they refuse it, that was the card they played there. So interesting stuff.
And one bit of Mets news, no official trade yet. There is some scuttlebutt going around. Now, sometimes with some teams, you really don't want to trade your star player, but you trade a star for a star because maybe just that different scenery might help you get over that bump. Mets can't get over that bump, and some other teams can't get over that bump. There is scuttlebutt of Pete Alonso for Vlad Jr. going around.
Ooh.
Could that be what the 2 teams need? Just a little fresh blood, mix it around.
Wow.
Just saying. Just saying. Both, I think, are complementary players. They'll get you 40, maybe 50 home runs, 100 RBIs, bat 230, average glove at first. You can put either one of their names, Alonso or Guerrero Jr. after that, and you won't tell the difference.
Yep. That's good. That's an
Both are
interesting
fan
play.
friendly, media friendly. Not neither one's a cancer in the locker room. They're both good guys. So, but maybe just that change of attitude, change of place. Couple other Gopher notes. There's an outside chance it could be PJ Fleck against Jerry Kill in a bowl game.
Wow.
Aggies and the Gophers could be end up playing in a bowl game.
So that's New Mexico State?
Yep.
So they're playing, they've got one of those games here coming up this weekend for the championship.
Yep. So it's an outside shot. And the Gophers, you know how they got in the bowl game? Someone else lost. And so there wasn't enough teams that were quote unquote bowl eligible. The Gophers got in because their players are good students and doing good academically. Well, hats off to PJ Fleck for that, but you should not be able to make a bowl game and make money for your program on grades.
Well,
you should, but it just shows you. Well, I'll get to that later.
Well, is there when you say later, is there a soapbox?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Big soapbox leading up to this.
Okay, good. I'll reserve comments after that because I've got some opinions on this whole scenario.
And also the volleyball team is in the tournament. They're the 3 seed in their section, play Utah State. Then they'll play the winner of the Colgate-Cretan section. So good luck to the Lady Gopher volleyball team. We do fairly well in this tournament usually.
Awesome.
And now the soapbox.
I like it.
College football and money. We've said it before, there's just too many bowl games. Look at the Gophers. They're going to make a bowl game at 5-7 based on their academics, not what they did on the field. Yes, academics are important. I'm not saying they're not. But these networks and these sponsors are spending money. Look at the stadiums. People really don't go to these early bowl games. And like I've said before, and I'll say it again, I'll be on my soapbox. I'll die on the sword. Kind of like what college basketball does. Have preseason or opening season bowl games the first 2 weeks of the year. How many college basketball tournaments do you see right now going on? The Aloha tournament or this tournament or whatever. They still count as games. But why not get these sponsors to sponsor some of these first or second week games in college football? Take away from the bowls at the end so you can expand your big playoffs. But have your Music City Bowl the first week of the season. Have your Meineke Car Care Bowl the first week or two of the season. Everybody wins. You get your advertising out there. Depending on how teams, based on how teams finished the year before, match them up the first week, and there you go.
That's interesting.
Was somebody writing that down to send into the NCAA?
I like it.
Jeff, write that down. Get on that.
Jeff is ready.
Wake him up. Okay. So that's my bit. Did you have a point on that, sir?
Yeah, so for the listeners out there that aren't familiar with it, the college football season, what they've done over the years is to be bowl eligible, you need to win 6 games. Not conference, just 6 games overall. You need to be at that 6-game win level to qualify for a bowl game. And then they can get all their 40 bowl games there are. There's 80 opponents, 80 teams going, 80 teams playing that have over 6 wins. Now, I've often thought this before. What if there's teams that they don't have enough teams at 6 wins? What do they do? So that's what happened this year. There's not enough teams for those 82 spots or whatever for those bowl games. So they said let's take, and I don't know what the answer to this is. How many teams were short? How many teams? Was it only the Gophers?
Well, there's 43 bowl games, so that's 86 teams. Okay. So 86 teams. Let's say 86 teams, and there is 133 Division I schools. So 2/3 of the teams make a bowl game. So you're hoping 2/3 of the teams win 6 games.
Yeah, so you're assuming that's pretty safe. Over the years, there's usually, those number of teams work. But what if in the situation that there isn't? So this year, and maybe there's more, but there's at least they were already one team short. So they're going to say, hey, let's go to a team with 5 wins and bring them up. Well, there's a whole load of teams with 5 wins.
What's your tiebreaker?
How did they get to the Gophers? Do they go to a Power 5 conference? So it opens up this whole other can of worms. Now, these are bids, by the way, right? I mean, they may come and get an offer to say, hey, Fleck, would you like to bring the Gophers to a bowl game? And he could have said, no, thanks, but no thanks. I don't want to go with 5 wins. I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, some teams have said no in the past also.
Okay. And so that's the question. You know, if there's enough teams with 6 wins, it makes it easy for everybody. If there isn't enough, you have to start hunting and pecking to find the teams or the opponents to play for these. And then at that point, the coach or the athletic director has the chance to say, you know, no, thanks. We refuse to go, or we're not interested in going. This time they said yes. But as you said before, it's based on academics. Is that true?
That's how the Gophers got in academics. So
is that written
in the point average on the team?
Is that written in the small print of these, the way they organize, you know, the backup, you know, basically it's a criteria of tiebreaker criteria. We're going to go to this level after this tie. We're going to go to what's it, GPA? What, you know, how could they possibly say it's academics? Grade point average, student athletes.
That's they say to make it happier. I mean,
and once again, that's subjective too. How do they? So now you open a whole can of worms by having this whole thing, and then now that's what they're in. So the Gophers, did they say yes? They are in now for sure.
I think PJ did say yes because he's got a big ego.
And he wants to play. Are going to go to a bowl game with 5 wins. Fair enough. I don't like it, but if there's not enough teams, you know, it is what it is. But you know, it's the whole kind of kissing your sister thing. It's such an awkward thing for everybody involved. Now, are Gopher fans going to be going down south wherever they're playing and come in a big tour bus and a fan bus and cheering on the team? I'd have to imagine most of the true Gopher fans are saying, "No, I'll sit this one out."
Okay, because here's my counterpoint on that now. With the Big Ten expansion, these teams like, oh, yeah, I'll travel to Arizona or Florida to watch the bowl game. Wait a minute. During the regular season, I could use that same money and go watch the game in UCLA or USC instead.
Yeah, and so next year, those other teams come in, So it's interesting. Now, you said earlier, before the soapbox, is the money that the teams make. So whether or not your PJ Fleck personally going to, say yes or no, the athletic.
What's in his contract too for bowl
it's going to be, hey, how many bowl games? Is there you have a bonus in your contract if you make X number of bowl games? And the school makes X. The money, the payout is good for these bowl games. Even like you said earlier, if they're small, mid-size, or top level, you're still getting a check. You're still getting a pretty good sized check for the school in return. So maybe they twist PJ's arm and says, you better say yes. We need the money. So there's this whole other game going on behind the scenes. And I think that's the thing that kind of takes the fun out of, going to a bowl game when we were growing up there was a handful of bowl games and you wanted to be in, you don't care which one. Well, now 2/3 of the teams are in a bowl game of some sort anyway, and only a few teams are going home for the season. So kind of awkward, but it is what it is.
And if those teams go to the bowl games, how many times do you hear 4 of the 5 top players don't play because they're saving themselves for the draft? So again, you're spending all this money for a bowl game, and you're not getting the best of the best there.
It's a pickle. It's a pickle either way, but it really does well for these cities that host it because
that's who wins.
Now, if you look at Orlando, for instance, or New Orleans, and some of these cities that get multiple bowl games at the same stadium.
Yep.
Tampa, Raymond James Stadium, I think hosts 2 or 3 bowl games.
Yep. Superdome could do that.
Orlando, the Citrus Bowl, and they've got the old Outbacks Bowl. So now you get multiple teams, multiple cities benefiting, where they don't care how good of a team you bring down because everyone's coming down to spend money in their town. So it gets to the whole business end of it, but it's interesting. Now, Andy, do you have anything more on your sports section?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Let's go back to the videotape.
Let's go back to the tape. Here we go.
Minnesota Wild.
Oh, yes.
Today had to fire their coach, Dean Everson.
I saw that.
The hire John Haynes is per sources. Dean kind of said after the press conference, we've got to change something. Well, Dean, it was you. They've lost 13 of the last 16 games. They're near the bottom of the division. I've heard some people saying this is the worst they've been since the first season of the team. The assistant Bob Woods was also dismissed. Everson Will has 1 year left on his contract and a little less than $2 million a year. So he was going to get that. The guy they're bringing in, he was let go last year, who still had $2 million left on his contract. So it's kind of like we said with the ball players earlier. Maybe just changing the face might be all we need.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, back to what I said earlier, I don't know, a little thinking going on here.
Yes.
Okay, Washington's kicker, Grady Gross, kicked the game-winning field goal as time expired. He was a walk-on. After the game, they gave him a scholarship in the locker room.
Interesting.
Great. I'm all happy for that. God bless him. Way to go. Da, 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 da. Do we need as many scholarship players, though, now with the NIL going on? If you're that good a player, not this kicker, but say you're the Marvin Harrison Juniors of the world, no, you don't get a scholarship because you got this NIL deal for $4 million. You can pay for your own tuition. And that opens up scholarships for these kickers and the punters and the third string linemen. Are we going to get to that point maybe where they say, hey, if you got an NIL deal, that null and voids your scholarship?
Interesting.
So that's my thinking about today as I was driving in the car, sitting in a red light. Give them partial scholarships for these guys with the big contracts still.
Now, the only question I have, Andy, and you might know the answer to this, is teams, the college teams have a set number of scholarships available.
Yes.
By giving this to the kicker, does it take it away from someone else? Did someone else lose theirs?
What I want to know,
do they have an extra one laying around?
What I'm taking a highly educated guess on this one, I'm guessing the scholarship starts next year, not for the rest of this season.
Okay.
That's my guess on it.
Oh, I see. So it's for the subsequent year anyway. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that makes sense. I like that.
So, but again, with that being said, this poor guy went all year flipping his own dime for it, and you got some other guy with an NIL deal making 4 times what tuition is.
Yeah.
Why can't he pay tuition and give your scholarship to him?
Interesting. Yeah, we might see that down the road, a change in that theory. Yeah.
If that did happen, you know that guy's name would have been pressed out there. And I may be waiting for the first, we saw one guy said his NIL deal, every touchdown this hospital got some money. We had that story earlier this year. Great. Why don't you have some guy with a big NIL deal? I'm waiting for that in the next year or two where he's like, you know what? I'm giving up my scholarship for somebody else in the team. I could pay my own way with this advertising money I got. I am betting in the next 3 years you see someone do that.
Okay.
Mark your calendar. Kevin, note the tape.
Yeah.
There. Hear me now, listen to me later. And that, sir.
Well, it might be, when you think about the whole Leah Thomas and the swimming, was he that gentleman himself, on a full ride scholarship as a man and then switched to a woman and got the same thing? Or was he on a partial or no scholarship? And then now because it's female, he was full ride?
Yeah, he got a scholarship from a girl.
Yeah.
The whole Title IX stuff. So you have so many scholarships on each side. So he gave up the boy scholarship for the girl scholarship.
But he did, Leah Thomas, when he was a boy, he did have a full ride scholarship?
Yep.
Okay, got it. So it just flip-flopped it out, once again, taking it away from an eligible girl, but then giving one back then to an eligible boy that now became vacant. But that's very interesting. There's so much of that going on.
And now Mr. Thomas says he doesn't want to live in our country anymore. And for that, I say, hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff.
Take Whoopi Goldberg with you.
So other than, baseball offseason hot stove, there isn't much really yet. We've got some signings, some top-level free agent signings.
Yeah.
Not really much else.
Change places. The Mets are kind of redoing their whole coaching staff, mostly. Names to come. We'll see who all lands where and why. Which is kind of exciting because, again, is it the coaches? You got to keep at least one. I think they are keeping a couple of the coaches behind. You can't gut the whole system. And you bring in a new coach for any sport. Maybe basketball because you don't have that many coaches there, but you really can't gut the whole system coaching wise when you get rid of a guy. You got to keep some around. So we'll see how that goes with the Mets. They do have some fresh blood coming in, some old blood. Coaching carousel has begun in baseball. Most of the head coaches are designed or hired now, I think, except San Diego. But as you can see, the pitching coaches, the third base coaches, those guys are going to be changing places now pretty soon.
So back to football. The other thing is this last week, if you got a chance to watch the football, and I'm talking the college, the D3, the D2s, the FCS, the FBS, lots of football all day long where games going on. Now, this weekend, we have the same thing. Division III, they're down to the final 8 teams?
Yep.
The Elite 8 in Division III. These are all still schools playing outdoors.
Yep.
D2 down to the final 8 Elite 8 teams still playing outdoors, good football. FCS is down to the Sweet 16, I believe, that starts now this coming weekend, down to 16 teams. All these are single elimination, all good football for the most part. They're all outdoors, is what I think.
Yep.
And then when you get to the FBS or the Division I, the top level, this week is the final championship week. Next week, the only game is Army-Navy game, and then the bowl season starts. So this is the final week. So our trivia question, Andy, was there's 10 conferences.
Yep.
This weekend, Friday and Saturday, the conference championships for each of the 10 conferences take place. How many are at neutral sites, and how many do you think there are?
Well, we gave the one for the Big Ten.
Yeah.
That's at Lucas Oil. I'm going to guess Big 12 is going to be in one of the fancy domes in their area, either Dallas or so. That's 2. I think Georgia hosts the SEC one, or they have in the past anyway. And that's one people might forget because they're going to assume that's a home game for Georgia because they're usually in that game, but that is considered a neutral site game.
Yes.
So 3. And I'm missing 2, so I'll say 5. 5 of the 10.
So the answer is 7. 7 of the 10 are at neutral site locations. So Georgia will be playing in the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep.
Georgia Dome, right? Is it called?
Yep.
But their home stadium is not that. That's not their home stadium. And like Texas ones as well, they're going to be playing in the state in the dome, but they're not on their home field, which means that 3 teams, Andy, this coming weekend are playing at home, like literally on campus for a conference championship. And usually they're the smaller schools, the smaller conferences, but they're actually, they have their final championship at the home team. I love that. I didn't know what the number was, so I looked it up to see, but it's 3. 7 of the bigger schools, the 5 big Power 5 are obviously neutral sites. 2 other ones are to give you 7, and then 3 are whoever wins. They don't know the site until the week, until the week or 2 before of where it's even going to be. But the fans, that's got to be exciting for the fans on campus to be playing in the conference title game at home in a small, intimate setting of 20, 30,000 fans.
And like I said, say they moved the Big Ten title to U.S. Bank Stadium. They have it in the big greenhouse there. Good Lord willing, the Gophers make it. That is not a home game for them.
Correct.
They may have to wear their road unis because they had the lower seed.
Yeah.
So,
and and what I'm getting at here is the excitement and the feel for the game. A home field in college football is unlike anything else. Just because you're playing in your home city is still not the same. Gophers would be out of their element at U.S. Bank Stadium and would not have a per se home field advantage, although it would be close and convenient. But there are 3 teams playing this weekend at home. That's got to be fun. One of them is the night game on Friday night, and maybe 11 o'clock a.m. game. I mean, just imagine the tailgating and everything in the atmosphere. So we've got the 10 football games for college football this week, and we have still the D3, D2, and the FCS. Now, NFL, we had the 3 games on Thursday, Thanksgiving, 1 on Friday, full slate yesterday, and the Vikings are playing here tonight against the Bears. But some good stuff. Football's winding down. All this college will be wrapping up here soon, and it's going to be football playoffs before we even know it.
Yes, they're getting close. The Vikings are not the 7th seed anymore. They're the 6th seed going into today. So that means they'd be playing Detroit in the first round at the playoffs for today.
Now, back to high school football. I watched that Chan game against St. Thomas Academy. Now, Chan, once again, Chanhassen High School. This is just a high school, never been to the state at all.
Right.
For their football program, relatively new high school altogether, football program. And they're in the state. They go to state. They win the state. They're the Prep Bowl champions for Class 5A.
Yep.
And their number one back, their leading back is a Maxwell Woods, running back. Yep. Maxwell Woods, his very gifted athlete. His parents both played sports at NDSU.
Yes.
So they're both Bison to begin with. You come from good genes to begin with. You're already set. The guy's a phenomenal basketball player, but he committed to football. He wants to play D1 football, and he's going to play committed with the Bison. Now, some comments that I read, Andy, are this, and I'd like to get your opinions on that. Some on the comments section back to when he first committed, because I didn't know the guy. I didn't know the gentleman. We haven't we haven't followed him here in Carver County, and right. Chan is right here in Carver County. We haven't followed Mr. Maxwell Woods. Some say NDSU is getting a steal by getting he's a D1, meaning he's a true D1 guy. He should be getting looks at Clemson, Alabama, Mississippi, Michigan, Ohio State. No interest. But he had a bunch of offers at FCS schools, which we cover a lot on this program, which is the next level down. Not that it's bad, not that it's less, but it's a notch down. That's where he was getting his offers from. Well, NDSU landed this D1 kid basically in their lap. The other comments that I saw is that it won't take him a year or two to start. He could start as a true freshman next year. Do you agree with that?
Yes. If you're that good. And did he get in a little bit because of who mom and dad are? Might have helped. Maybe it didn't push him on the top of the list, but maybe people as they came across them, they're going, well, you remember his folks, right? So you paid a little more attention. You kind of knew him. Now, I don't know what the deals was he got. Say Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Ohio State offered him deals. Was it for a full ride? Was it a partial ride? And again, like we said earlier, he's going to go to NDSU. That's where mom and dad were. That name's going to pull something. What kind of NIL deal is he going to get there?
Yeah.
As compared to going to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or Los Angeles to play at UCLA or something like that. Or, your name's is whatever. You're playing football. Maybe you could do a commercial for, Burger King or something, or the grocery store. He's going to be, I'm not comparing him to as an example. For advertising-wise, he'll be the next Carson Wentz up there because Carson was a local boy.
Okay.
He could do all the grocery stores, the local this, the local that, the gas station, the whatever, the dog groomer. He could do all the commercials.
Okay.
Now, is he going to make $5 million doing it? No. He'll make nice North Dakota money, which he's expecting. He's not expecting the big, huge deal like everybody else is, I think he's humble enough to know that he's going to be a big man on campus. He's a big man on campus now. Let's just if he keeps his head straight. Mom and dad are both athletic and professionals. Not professional athletes, but professional. They'll help him keep his head square, and he'll do just fine. Is he going to leave NDSU with 4 rings? God, I hope so. Does that mean he's going first round in the NFL? Probably not.
Well, here's what I think.
Let's be real about it. He could have a great career at NDSU, maybe be a first-round pick, second for sure. But let's just enjoy the championship game for this weekend, get ready for next fall when he's at NDSU, and hope he starts.
Well, that'd be fun if he was not even redshirted and was on the roster to start with, even as a backup. But it sounds like if he's a starter on 1 year. Now, NDSU is known for stockpiling these running backs and wide receivers and quarterbacks that 3 or 4 deep on quarterbacks, and they're all studs in high school elsewhere. And you got to work your way up and wait for the attrition for people to get hurt, graduate, and move your way up. What I'm getting at is such a compliment to say, look, he can come there. he could be an immediate starter, surpassing everyone else. That is huge. Now, do you think, Andy, that he may go there for 2 years as an immediate starter, do so well that he can transfer to an Alabama or Clemson, Oregon Ducks, and be a feature back there too, and then go to the NFL? You know, that's kind of what I'm thinking in the background, if he's that good.
The whole transfer portal thing?
Yes.
I don't know how that works with FCS and FBS, though.
Okay.
If you can do that, I'm sure you can. I mean, how many times do you hear guys saying he played junior college last year?
Yeah.
And goes, so I'm sure he can. I think doing that, though, could hurt you in the draft, because if you do go to Oregon or Ohio State or wherever,
UCLA,
and you can't make that jump very easily, because say, well, you can't make that jump, you sure ain't going pro.
Yeah.
So
and he may not be big enough to go pro anyway. You know, maybe that's why the D1 schools, the big ones, weren't even looking at him. So maybe he does stay, play 4 years, and just kick butt and put up some huge numbers, career numbers.
Yep.
And he could be that guy. You know, he plays both ways, defense and offense. And once again, a tremendous athlete overall. He could be fun to watch there for the Bison. So we haven't covered him at all on any of our shows, but fun to watch. He's got that. He's that guy who's got that other level, that other gear. You know, physically, it's just unbelievable what he does on the field.
And here's the thing. In that game, the Chanhassen game, him and the other running back from St. Thomas, they were playing both sides of the ball. So just because he just signed this letter NDSU as a running back, something happens at camp. How do you know he's not playing defense?
Yeah.
We've all heard that happening in some sports. Well, we signed him as a shortstop, but 3 days into practice, he became a pitcher, or vice versa.
Yeah, that could be easily done.
Training camp for the Bison. They go, hey, you know what? You mind playing cornerback this year instead for the first season? So-and-so still doing a receiver, or we've 3 guys got hurt in the first week of practice. Can you go to, so would he be a gamer and do that?
Well, remember from St. Michael, Albertville, when Mitchell Cardis went to the Bison NDSU, originally as a safety. Then they said, you know what? Let's bulk up 10, 15 pounds. We'll move you to a linebacker. The following year, he was being used as a tight end / like a halfback.
Yep.
And I think all 3 years he was there, he played different position every year.
Yep.
That's tremendous athlete. That's tough to do, but was never a starter at anyone. Moved his way around as a backup.
Yep.
At a tremendous school, but just that gifted to be able to move around. He was one that a name rings a bell when he was there a few years back. Really good athlete, but this Woods kid could be fun to watch. The other running back you were talking about, St. Thomas Academy, he's going, I think, somewhere also. I'm not sure where, but they both ran for 200 yards on the ground offensively and played defense. And I think I saw them on special teams.
Yeah, and you saw that fourth quarter. You knew Woods was getting the ball 90% of the time. You knew the other kid was getting the ball 90% of the time. And the fun part about it all, the last play for Chan was a pass to someone else.
Yes.
1 catch, 2 yards, 1 touchdown.
Wide open. And the game ends like that because it's not focused now on that star player. But that was fun to watch.
Started Woods. And you know what? This is the how thing you're going to find out. Woods handled that very well. He didn't whine saying, I'm the man, I'm scoring. He wanted the lead championship ring.
Well, the play before that, I think he was the lead blocker, or was he the lead blocker on some other play where the other person scored?
I think the thing that humbled him a lot on that too, if you look at the last drive. Granted, he fell on it, but he had 2 fumbles that last drive and overtime too. So I think to say that and everybody was still watching him shows how good he is.
Yeah,
you look at those 2 fumbles. How many of the D1 schools are sitting here going, told you. So that's the other thing we got to see. Here was his moment. This was his big pressure moment. Did he come through? Yeah, he got his team there to win. Just because you didn't score the winning touchdown doesn't mean you didn't get your team there.
Yeah.
He got the team there. Did he not have the best overtime? No. But you know what? Did Tom Brady win every Super Bowl? No, he's still the GOAT in some people's eyes. So just because he didn't do good in that game, he choked in the big one. No, he got it from down to the 5-yard line. So good luck to him, though. I hope he does well.
Fun. It's fun stuff. I think he'll do well there with the Bison. But like you say, he's got the name recognition. The parents went there. And the other offers were from other FCS schools as well. So,
Yep.
He could have gone, I don't know if they were Montana State, South Dakota State, Jackrabbits, who the offers came from. But he says, dude, I got to do it. Go to the Bison.
Go home.
He's got to go home. Horns. And that'll be fun to watch. So we'll cover him a lot next year on the show, but he's going to be fun to watch.
He's marked down. We've got him earmarked.
All right. That's all I got for sports here this week.
We'll try to start dabbling in the NBA and NHL. Like I said, Wild not doing so well, but we got the Kraken. We'll follow some other teams going on and see what's going on. NBA, from what I understand, the Timberwolves are doing well right now. We'll keep an eye on them, see what's going on with those guys. Hopefully they don't just give them the kiss of death by saying they're doing good and they don't win another game the rest of the year because we mentioned them. Who knows? But college basketball, college hockey are going. We'll start getting those more now because football's basically done, except for the playoffs, but basically done. So we'll get ready for those sports soon.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. Have a good week, everyone. See ya.